What music do you use as a reference at PS Audio? That question comes to us from James in Nijmegen, yep, I guess, in the Netherlands. Sorry if I'm butchering the Dutch there. And James writes, if you only have a few reference cuts of music, won't you be tuning all your products to music that we as customers don't have? In other words, how do you tune PS Electronics for a broad range of music? Well, first thing I will tell you is that we use a broad range of music. Now I've got my CD library here of, I don't know, maybe 1,000 CDs. I've got another batch over there. I've got 4 terabytes of music on my hard drive. That's a lot of music. That's probably, if I listened to that, I would probably be long dead before it finally played through. I mean, there's a lot of music at our disposal. Having said that, we do have a reference group. And if you're ever in the music room, this section right here, which looks like it's about ready to fall out, oh, I guess we're missing one of those little pins. Okay, I'll put it back in a minute here so we don't have, whoa! So we don't have a crash. I don't want this whole thing to go through. Sorry, I ramble because I just noticed my selection here is going on. But anyway, this section here has most of my reference gear. I also publish several lists that will tell you what I listen to. If you go on Google and just type in Paul's Picks, I think we're like the 3rd hit. You'll see it's in a Paul's post. I think I've presented it 3 times, but just go Google, type in Paul's Picks, and the 2nd or 3rd hit will come up and you'll find my list of about 12 or 15 tracks that I use on a regular basis. Okay, so what's unique about those tracks? Are they all just great recordings? No, not at all. Those recordings represent a wide variety of music in terms of tonal balance, in terms of frequency response and extremes, in terms of imaging. Some of them are really hard to reproduce. Some of them are gorgeous and should appear as so. And others have extremely deep bass. Some have almost no bass. Soundstage is different on quite a number of them. And what I look for as we voice PS Audio equipment, and we do, every piece of PS Audio gear that has ever been made over the last 45 years has come into this or whatever listening room we have at the time. And the second part of its design engineering process is handled here. This is where we listen to our designs and then start the tweak process. Change this capacitor, remove that resistor, change that value. Sometimes scrap the entire design. When I designed our last set of amplifiers, and this is I won't ramble on too long about this, but before the BHK series came up, I spent nearly a year in here going through 3 separate designs for the new power amplifier. I had a analog power supply, giant analog power supply with a Class D output stage and a Class A front end. I went to, I won't go through all the design parameters, but I wound up scrapping 3 designs over the course of about a year because they were not living up to the standards that I was hoping for. Not that those kind of designs can't, because we've since used those designs in other products that sound great, but I wasn't looking just to make a product that sounded great. I wanted to build what I considered to be the world's best sounding power amplifier. And that turned out to be quite a challenge. So we did all that in here. The end of that story is I finally threw the towel in, hired Bascom King, and he did it. and we now have an amplifier that I consider to be the best in the world. Period. Bar none. I don't care about cost. I'm sure not everyone agrees. In fact, I know that for a fact. But of those that have got, anyway, I'm not going to try and sell product here. In any case, the point is, every product comes in here and gets listen tested. And we use those series of Paul's picks and others to do one thing, to find if there is a consistency throughout those tracks. And if there is, that's when we go to work fixing that consistency, because no group of disparate tracks should have the same characteristics to it. And by that I mean, let's imagine that as I go through those tracks, I notice that the bass is a little boomy on every one of them. Or I notice that there's a lot of chest in every single singer. And I know some of those tracks have very thin-chested recordings. But if they're sounding full and rich, and then other instruments I could point to would sound bloated because of it, then we're overemphasizing a certain frequency of the spectral balance, and we don't want to do that. We're trying to make a neutral sounding speaker or amplifier, whatever it is we're designing. And so if it's got, if all the highs are screechy, if all the this or that, or if anything is consistent, then we know we have a problem, and that's what that list helps me do. So go on Google, Paul's Picks, and you'll see what it is we listen to. Thanks for the question. Bye. Better fix that thing.